Also, I hope that I'm at least have a fiance or a dog or something so that I'm not alone because I can't do this by myself.
Second option, the dog.
Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. This next video is the second part of the Zoom call that I had with 4 pre-med students, and I really hope you enjoy it. And yeah, let's get into it.
Next question we have is, do you plan on taking a gap year? Why or why not?
I wasn't planning on taking a gap year. I didn't think that it would, I didn't think I would have anything to do during that year, and I didn't think it would make my application any stronger, which I know is a reason that some people do choose to take gap years, is just to like work on their application or even to work on other things. And considering how the situation went down, how Miss Coronavirus arrived, I'm glad I didn't, because then I would just be stuck at home, right? So yeah, I wasn't planning on it.
For me, I'm still undecided because at first I thought gap years were bad. Like I thought that if you took a gap year, you just didn't get into med school. So I was like, well, why would I want to do that? But then I realized like a lot of medical students now have taken 1, 2, even 3 gap years. So I do have to figure out if I take one, like what I would do. But I think if I take one, I'd probably get a master's in public health or like be in a research lab. And yeah, I don't know yet. I have to figure that out.
For me, I was like in a similar boat, during freshman and sophomore year, I was kind of debating on if I should take a gap year. I felt like my application was pretty ready to not take a gap year, but then I like reevaluated like my mental health my sophomore year, and I think for me, I kind of want the year to see family, especially because most of my non-immediate family lives in a different country. And that would probably be the last time I would be able to see some of my grandparents like alive, because I would be doing like medical school then straight into residency. So I was thinking on like long term, I really want to say like my final goodbye to them. And also I think that for that 1 year, I kind of want to give myself a little bit of a breather because as you guys all know, like pre-med is pretty hard. And for me, I think just for my own mental health, I was kind of I was thinking about taking a gap year. So I'm pretty like leaning towards that direction right now.
So I'm kind of going through a lot of options. I've just been debating because I really don't know. Like I could take a gap year. I could get I've always wanted to get an MBA. I've been looking into dual MD MBA programs because that's something I really want to do, be able to treat patients, but with the skills I learned from my MBA degree, especially like that administration skills, like able to run the hospital the correct way, I guess, somewhat help fix healthcare if I can. I need to do more research into that, but that's one thing I've been debating. And I've also been debating maybe doing like a post-bac. I really need to do more research on that. I'm talking to more people who are doing or have done post-bacs just to get more of an idea of, is this what I need to do? Because I feel like I'm on the cusp. Like I can, if I maybe push harder, maybe take an extra class or something, maybe I'll be competitive enough, or maybe I may not be competitive enough. So since I'm right on that edge, I'm not really sure what is the best option, but there are a couple programs I'm thinking of. Instead of taking like a gap year, maybe taking like a 1 year intense like program through which I become a much more competitive applicant, and then I can apply to the nearby med school or whatever med schools I want to apply to. So I think that's something I'm beginning to consider, because that'll make me, I feel like, the most competitive. Preferably no gap year. If anything, I'd rather do like a post-bac or a 1 year program, or just go straight into med school if that's like what it will look good for me. So yeah.
Yes, I'm happy that we're like actually saying gap years can also be a good thing, because I think before in like high school we really just did not know what a gap year meant. So definitely if you're a freshman or even high school student, like gap years are more than just if you didn't get into med school. Like it could be a boost for your application.
I just want to comment on the gap year thing. Like, I literally, I think, learned in the past month and a half how gap years are a good thing. Like, the majority of students take gap years, and I guess because of the whole brown community, Indian community thing, like, no one really looks favorably on gap years. Everyone's like, ooh, wow, this girl didn't get it. This person didn't get into medical school. Like, that's the vibe you get. So my mom's always been like, no gap year. You gotta get it. You gotta get in. So there's always been that pressure, but after a lot of research, I realized that there's, like, so many non-traditional students. There's so many people who take gap years, and the average age even to get into medical school is like 26. So like there's no real harm in taking a gap year. And I think someone in one of the group chats was saying how their mentor professor or their friend's mentor professor person was telling them that the medical school should actually require students to take a gap year just to get the full experience and breather and everything. Because I mean, it makes sense. Like, there's so much to do already in undergrad, and then pre-med, and like all those experiences just make it harder. So yeah, that's just something I guess I really changed my opinion and my like perspective on.
I think something like I agree with that also. I think I realized like as I get older, usually the people who kind of like look down on other people for like taking a gap year or maybe like doing something are usually people who aren't in the pre-med cycle. It's usually like parents of kids who are, it's like people who aren't really in the field. So I think honestly at the end of the day you really need to do like what you want to do, because I feel like as pre-med students you are in a very competitive environment, and you are like by nature kind of a hardworking, competitive, independent person who wants to like excel in everything. But I think at the end of the day, like, people who are usually judging you for taking gap year aren't the ones who know what it's like. So that's something that I realized as like I've been going through it. So
Okay, hello.
Hey. For now, can you give us like a little intro, like your name, your year, your major, and then if you want to say like your school or your state, you can, but you obviously, whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah. So I'm Fatima Karkub. I'm a junior at Notre Dame of Maryland University in Maryland. I study biology, and currently how I'm spending my summers by doing research at Johns Hopkins in computational neuroscience, and my aspirations are to go into neurology in the future.
So the next question that we have is, has this pandemic affected your outlook on medicine or healthcare? And are there things you would like to change in the future as a future physician?
Yeah, no, the pandemic has hugely changed my outlook and opinion perspective on like the current the healthcare system and medicine, everything. Like, I kind of used to think medical people as professional, rational people, and it's not that I don't. Of course, a lot of them are, but then I've seen a huge number of people who aren't. Like, there's been 2 articles that came out recently. One of them regarding professionalism, the other one regarding poverty and culture, I think. But definitely something about poverty. I don't remember the second one. And I like read tidbits, and I was just thinking, are these actual medical professionals? Are these like doctors? And I was so just, I guess it was just kind of like a big, I don't know, slap in the face, but similar basically. And so yeah, the pandemic has definitely changed my outlook, and it's one of the reasons I decided that me and my 2 friends decided we would create our initiative Happy, because of what we learned through the pandemic. Because not only has the pandemic I guess shown me what, racism and other prejudice, like all the prejudice, what all of that looks like in the medical field, but it's also shown just giving me more insight into, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement and just other people who are in disadvantaged communities. So yeah, it's definitely changed my outlook, and I like felt much more motivated again to be pre-med, and then I felt much more motivated to do something about it. It was why originally I wanted to do like my dual degree, my hopefully dual degree, my MD MBA, but this I think gave me more perspective and more motivation as to, I guess give me better ideas as to maybe how to fix it, talk to other people of how to start fixing it, and how to actually help get these more disadvantaged communities and people in those communities their proper care they need. So yeah.
Going off that, I had a very similar outlook on everything with the pandemic, especially because I've realized how disproportionately like minorities, especially African Americans, do not have access to healthcare, which is the reason why they may be dying at a higher rate to COVID, despite there being more cases in white Americans. So I've definitely like took it upon myself to educate myself in the healthcare system, and now I have a public health minor that I've been taking classes for this summer, so that I can actually be equipped to like handle these situations and do hopefully research in this in the future while also pursuing medicine at the same time. So that's definitely what I've been passionate about now.
I think for me, my biggest realization during like the whole pandemic, talking to like coworkers and just friends and peers, is the amount of like misinformation even within the scientific community. And I think that is something that I always took for granted. I always thought that because I have a background in science, like I'm able to kind of sift through what is good sources and what is like logical scientific fact. And I'm talking to coworkers who don't necessarily have like a science background, and they're reading like news about the pandemic on like blogs and taking that as like the truth. And I don't discount them in any way, because how would they know that what's credible with everything going on? But I think I really appreciate the fact that I chose healthcare as a field that I'm interested in, just because I think I have some kind of like, when I'm like going out looking for sources on like what is the truth, I have some sort of confidence behind that. And I don't think I would have that if I was like per se like a different major. Not saying that other majors don't have the same kind of ability to do that, but I think I've really been appreciating my science background, because like for example, like my family had like a COVID outbreak at their workplace, and my mom's asking me questions on what is the shedding period for this virus, what is that kind of stuff. And I feel confident like looking up that information for her and like reporting out and explaining to her like how exactly this virus is working. Obviously I'm not an expert, but I think that that is something that I've really appreciated during this pandemic. And I hope in the future just like scientific misinformation was prevented. But I think that was just something that I realized during this whole pandemic. So
I can jump in and say that I was originally going to say that I thought that the healthcare system was perfect, you know, like when I would just shadow and I was like, oh my God, these people are amazing, this place is amazing. And I didn't really understand the back end of it. So whenever I would look at a physician, I would always see that there is an MD, and then there's always an MPH, and I never really understood that. But during this COVID time, like you are enlightened because there's so many more seminars, much more people talking about these issues. I mean, just the other day I was in a seminar when a doctor said that in Baltimore City, there's still redlining around different areas of Baltimore, which is literally racially segregated, and the healthcare system is definitely taking an impact because those people are just kind of being boarded off, and then those other populations are being taken care of and others are not gaining the same access, even though they're in the same city. It's disproportionate. And without COVID, like honestly, I wouldn't have never thought to go to look out for that information, but this pandemic kind of just give a more light onto these issues, and it allowed us to kind of see the back end of healthcare and see what their thoughts are, because they're being more open at this time.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everyone's saying, and it's personally I think it's made me more confident about my approach to like a more interdisciplinary pursuit of medicine. Before this past year, I was kind of toying with the idea of MD, MPH, and understanding public health as it relates to medicine, because I was inspired by learning about like SARS response and Ebola response, but also I'm interested in making healthcare more accessible to people who may not be insured, or XYZ, whatever the issues are in America that block people from accessing medicine. But this past couple of months have really opened my eyes to how politicized medicine can be, and how we need more health professionals, especially working with policymakers in making legislation more accessible and open to people of different backgrounds, especially in America, and also keeping it from affecting other countries, because obviously like with this pandemic, it wasn't, originally from America, but because we weren't able to work well with other countries or work well with global health initiatives, it did spread to our country. And so I think it's important for more medical professionals to be involved in these fields of understanding politics, as well as like public health measures, that they can keep their communities safe, as opposed to the one-on-one individual patient interactions that we often focus on.
Yes, that was like really good conversation. I was like nodding my head at everything. Like I totally agree. Everything was very well spoken. Last question, which is kind of fun, but where do you see yourself in 10 years? It could be like not just pre-med, but also like your family, your life, like ambitions and stuff like that.
What is it called? I hope to have graduated medical school, have finished residency by then, and starting my position as a physician. I'm really looking into a hospitalist as of now as like a specialty. Of course, like everyone says it changes once you go into medical school, but I feel like hospitalist has the kind of work-life balance that I want. And then I think also I really hope to be some sort of mentor. I think talking to my pre-med friends, it's really hard shadowing doctors because you don't know what you're gonna get. I've had my fair share of doctors who have said like kind of sexist remarks and maybe are like don't really know the kind of struggles that women in medicine and specifically like people of different cultures people from different cultures. But yeah, so I think that that's like a really big part of the pre-med journey is shadowing and kind of having a mentor, and I hope to mentor someone who's similar to me, like a woman in medicine, because I think that in all, I think physician care can be changed so much by having people from, as all of you have said before, diverse backgrounds. So I think that being a mentor is something that I'm really passionate about and I hope to do in my free time. So yeah.
So in 10 years, definitely I hope to be done with medical school by then. And I guess it just really depends, like I said, with the whole gap year situation. Whatever happens kind of will happen, hopefully for the best. I always believe whatever happens will happen for the best. So whatever I choose, definitely in 10 years, be done with medical school and either be in the middle of residency or done with residency, whatever that happens to be. And I've always thought psychiatry, and I was just literally debating the fine points, like is it child adolescent psychiatry? I recently learned there's like addiction, specifically addiction psychiatrists, forensic psychiatry. I'm a huge crime show buff, so like if that could be forensic psychiatrist, that would be so cool. So I've always thought psychiatry and just fine points, but I'm currently shadowing a surgeon. And I've completely changed my perspective on surgery. So now I'm considering surgery. And I'm still in the brain area though. So if anything, I think I would do neurosurgery. But that's also like, up in the air. I don't think I'll fully understand until I meet, hopefully, shadow psychiatrist. But definitely be in the middle of residency or done with residency by then. And in terms of family and stuff, I mean, hopefully I'll be continuing my relationship. I'm currently in a relationship. So hopefully that'll be going well. We're pretty strong and steady, so hopefully, but I don't really know in that terms. But yeah, I do hope to have a dance school. Like that's the other thing I've always thought, like regardless of whatever specialty I choose, I do want something that has a decent work-life balance so that I can take care of like dance school needs and stuff, because I originally wanted to become a professional dancer in middle school, then quickly shed those dreams because that's kind of not feasible. It's just not. And I decided if I can't do professional dancing, I can do something that's kind of gives me equal joy, which is like, I'm teaching other kids because I've been teacher assisting since I was, 13ish. So that's another thing I want to be able to incorporate. So yeah, that's definitely where I see myself.
So for me, I definitely think I'll be out of medical school and out of residency. I don't know like my specialty yet, but I'm leaning towards neonatology just because of like the previous story I had told you all about my nieces. And I also think I'll be on the East Coast because I don't think the West Coast is for me, but obviously like I haven't really lived over there. And also I hope that I'm still doing, or I will be doing research in health disparities and also looking into different community outreach programs that are helping like marginalized groups, because that's why I did my public health minor right now. And also I hope that I at least have a fiance or a dog or something so that I'm not alone because I can't do this by myself.
Who's the second option? The dog.
I agree. I think hopefully I'll be in residency and involved in some type of like public policy work as well. I know that there are some programs that allow you to work with helping develop policy as you like progress throughout your medical school journey. And so I don't have any idea about what I want to specialize in, but I'm really interested in global health, and I'm interested in more recently OB-GYN. So we'll see. I know in med school they allow you to like kind of pick and choose what you want to experience. So definitely plan on taking advantage of that. So yeah.
Yeah, so 10 years, probably finishing med school and going into residency, because I do consider taking a master's and taking some time off because still got to get my ducks in a row. And I do want to do more research and continue on to that route. So 10 years from now or more, I would consider doing research and being more involved in education. I am now currently doing like lots of tutoring and lots of teaching for ESOL students and students that are also going back into school who didn't have education opportunities when they were younger. So I'm really passionate about that aspect. I do want to continue that. And also, maybe not a dog, but probably a cat. We'll see.
Okay. I'm thinking, guys, that we should do a reunion 10 years from now and see where we are. But yeah, that's all the questions I have. Thank you guys for being here. And yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you guys learned something from it, especially if you're pre-meds. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about my channel. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.